Well, the well-known DeSoto Speedway in eastern Manatee County has been sold. YouTube star Cleetus McFarland is the new owner of that property.
Behind the noise, behind the smoke, behind the endless roar of engines and applause, there was a moment when everything went quiet. Not on the track, not in front of the cameras, but inside the mind of Garrett Mitchell. For millions, he was Cleetus McFarland, the embodiment of automotive freedom, a grinning symbol of American horsepower who turned tire smoke into a lifestyle and chaos into content. He laughed louder than the engines he built. He made danger look playful. He sold the idea that freedom was as simple as flooring the throttle and never looking back. But what most people never saw was how close that freedom came to destroying him, because long before the crashes, before the lawsuits, before the whispers of recklessness, there was a single decision that quietly started a countdown, a gamble that would trap him between success and survival. And once it began, there was no easy way out. Garrett Mitchell did not grow up chasing controversy. His early years were marked by curiosity, obsession, and an almost relentless drive to understand how things worked. Engines weren't just machines to him. They were puzzles, systems, challenges begging to be pushed just a little further. When YouTube entered his life, it didn't feel like a career path. It felt like an outlet, a way to turn passion into momentum. The Cleetus McFarland persona was born from humor and exaggeration, but underneath it was a meticulous builder and a calculated risk-taker. Each video escalated just enough to stay exciting. Each project topped the last. Subscriptions surged. Sponsors followed. Views multiplied. From the outside, it looked like a perfect rise, organic, unstoppable, and free. But fame has a way of reshaping expectations. By the time the channel reached millions, Garrett was no longer just entertaining an audience. He was feeding an algorithm that demanded more spectacle, more danger, more moments that felt impossible to ignore. And he was good at delivering them, almost too good. That's when the idea of the racetrack stopped being a fantasy and started feeling like destiny. In early 2020, Garrett made the boldest move of his life. He purchased the abandoned DeSoto Speedway for $850,000. To him, it wasn't a liability. It was potential, a physical manifestation of everything his brand stood for. He renamed it the Freedom Factory, envisioning packed grandstands, viral events, and a permanent home for the culture he had helped build. He drained his accounts. He sold assets. He went all in, and then the world shut down. Within weeks of signing the papers, the pandemic erased everything he had planned. Events were canceled overnight. Gates stayed locked. Revenue evaporated, but the debt remained very real. The insurance payments didn't pause. The taxes didn't disappear. The bank didn't care about potential. Suddenly, the Freedom Factory wasn't a symbol of success. It was a financial sinkhole. Garrett wasn't living a glamorous life behind the scenes. He was sleeping on an air mattress inside the infield. He became the janitor, the groundskeeper, the security guard, and the executive all at once. Days blurred into nights. Stress seeped into everything. Anxiety attacks began to surface. Sleep became a stranger. And then came the moment that pushed fear into something far darker. In the middle of that chaos, a check to the Internal Revenue Service failed to clear. Bouncing a check to the federal government isn't a simple mistake. It's an alarm bell. The kind that makes people imagine asset seizures and forced closures. Garrett later admitted he felt trapped, as if he had built a cage out of asphalt and fences and locked himself inside. The cheerful Cleetus persona didn't disappear, but it started to feel heavier, like armor worn too long. He needed a win desperately. That win was supposed to come in November 2020, during a major Cleetus and Cars event at the Freedom Factory. The stands were full. The air was thick with smoke and anticipation. It was, by all accounts, the biggest crowd the track had seen in years. The kind of moment that reminds you why you took the risk in the first place. Then everything went wrong. In the burnout pit, a stripped-down hot rod rolled forward. It had already raised concerns earlier in the day, radiator issues, warning signs. But it was allowed to enter again, and as the driver revved the engine, pressure built beyond control. The radiator hose ruptured. What followed happened in seconds. Superheated coolant erupted outward, not toward the driver, but into the crowd. Among the spectators was a young fan who had traveled simply to watch his hero. He was standing in the wrong place at the wrong time. The injuries were severe, life-altering, the kind that change everything in an instant. The celebration stopped cold. Garrett was devastated. The guilt hit immediately and deeply. He had invited people into his space, his dream, and someone had paid a terrible price. Behind the scenes, he stepped in to cover medical expenses where he could, but public perception doesn't wait for nuance. Online, the backlash was brutal. Critics accused him of prioritizing content over safety. Forums dissected every decision. Reddit threads labeled the Freedom Factory a disaster waiting to happen. Comment sections turned toxic. On his main channel, the smile stayed in place. On secondary platforms, the cracks showed. Comments were disabled. His voice sounded tired. The laughter felt thinner. Then came the lawsuit. Accusations of negligence followed. Questions about barriers, inspections, and approvals dominated the conversation. Insurance costs skyrocketed. Safety protocols were overhauled. The track survived, but something essential was gone: the innocence. From that moment on, the Freedom Factory carried weight. Not just financial, but emotional. Every event came with reminders of what could happen when machines, crowds, and pressure collide. And while Garrett wrestled with guilt, another enemy kept closing in. Money. The pandemic-era losses had already left scars. The legal expenses poured salt into them. Insurance premiums ballooned. Payroll loomed. The fear of losing everything never fully left. Even when events returned and fans came back, the trauma lingered. That kind of pressure doesn't fade quietly. It changes people. Instead of slowing down, Garrett began chasing something else, something sharper, something that cut through anxiety and made the noise stop. He looked to the sky. Aviation represented a different kind of freedom, faster, quieter, less crowded. Garrett purchased a small airfield, branding it Bald Eagle Airfield. It was meant to be another playground, another extension of the dream. But aviation doesn't forgive mistakes the way YouTube does. In 2024, during a solo flight, Garrett experienced an engine failure mid-air. The sudden silence was terrifying. In that moment, there was no audience, no edit, no second take, just physics and training. He managed an emergency landing successfully. He walked away physically unharmed. Mentally, it stayed with him. Publicly, he spoke about caution. Privately, something shifted. Surviving didn't slow him down. It seemed to embolden him. Soon after, a light aircraft incident at his airfield triggered an intense audit by federal authorities. Operations were grounded. Compliance costs surged into six figures. Lawyers became regular contacts. The airfield, once a symbol of escape, became another financial anchor. Still, Garrett pushed forward. If the air was dangerous, the asphalt was calling louder than ever. In February 2025, he entered the ARCA Menard series at Daytona. This wasn't a YouTube event. This was professional motorsport, heavy stock cars. Tight drafting, speeds approaching 200 miles per hour during the race, chaos erupted. A minor contact sent his car spinning. At that speed, control is an illusion. The car lifted. For a terrifying moment, Garrett was airborne, a passenger in his own machine. The impact with the concrete wall was violent. For seconds that felt endless, cameras focused on wreckage and smoke. Then the window net dropped. He was alive. Modern safety equipment had done exactly what it was designed to do. He walked away. Later, he joked about it. Humor, again, acting as a shield. But when he spoke more quietly, the truth surfaced. The crash shook him. The fear was real. Mortality wasn't abstract anymore. Criticism followed fast. Veteran racers questioned whether he belonged at that level. Some claimed he was treating professional racing like content. Others warned that bravado didn't replace experience. Then it happened again. Another ARCA race, another multi-car incident, another multi-car incident, another moment that reinforced a growing narrative. Mechanical failures piled up. A dragster engine detonated at the Freedom Factory, causing significant damage. A burnout gone wrong flipped a car onto its roof. Patterns became harder to ignore. Fans began to split. Some admired his resilience. Others worried he was pushing too far. Whispers circulated about adrenaline addiction, about whether risk had become the only way to feel normal after years of stress and scrutiny. The algorithm rewarded spectacle. Safety didn't trend. Then, in 2024, everything changed quietly. When Hurricane Helene devastated parts of the region, Garrett didn't reach for a camera. He reached for his aircraft. He flew supplies into isolated areas. He helped evacuate stranded residents. No thumbnails, no hype, just action. For the first time in a long while, freedom wasn't about speed or danger. It was about responsibility. Public reaction shifted. The narrative softened. People began to see more than the daredevil. They saw leadership. Today, the Freedom Factory stands as a legitimate, licensed racetrack. Events are safer. Protocols are stricter. The chaos is more controlled. On the surface, it looks like success. But beneath it all, the cost remains. The anxiety, the sleepless nights, the memories of moments that almost ended everything. Garrett Mitchell's story isn't just about engines or fame. It's about the American dream colliding with reality. About how freedom, when built on risk, always demands payment. And sometimes, the price isn't money. It's the quiet fear that never fully leaves.